All right, welcome to the Krueg Show. After Warrior basketball, the Warriors go up 2-0 on the Denver Nuggets. They beat them tonight at Chase by 20, 126-106. Is this series done? We're going to get into it. Cyrus Saatsaz is going to join us from the Locked On Warrior podcast. Kylan Mills, I believe, will join us as well from Cron as we talk a little Warrior basketball. But first, we welcome in young Ryan, our producer, our crack producer. Ryan, what'd you think? Pretty good win by Golden State. Man, Jordan Poole looks awesome right now.
He looked incredible. Oh my God. For some reason, I'm almost more impressed tonight than I was last night. And last game. And you know what? I mean, the story of the game is going to be, wow, Warriors turned it on, this new death lineup. And, they just went on an insane run. It looked like Warriors bowled and put the game away. But honestly, that first half, I mean, I feel like you're lying if you're a Warriors fan and you said you weren't getting a little sweaty watching that. You know what I mean? They were down 10 with
they were down 12 they were down to 12 in the second quarter, and all of a sudden, boom, explosion. And Denver's fighting it out on the bench. You see Barton and Boogie going at it.
Yeah, they did not keep their composure at all.
Yeah, it's the Will Smith. Just hold your composure. Hold your composure. Denver's just outgunned. They don't have enough offense, especially if Jordan Poole is going to become the next member of the Splash Brothers. Interesting basketball game for sure. Denver went on a 14-2 run early in the second quarter with Jokic on the bench. And at that point, I'm thinking, wow, maybe Denver's going to come here and they're going to steal one. But no, Golden State goes on an incredible run in the second quarter and kind of put this thing on ice. 18-4. Golden State with the Poole, Clay, Steph, Draymond, Wiggins lineup. Call it what you want. That at the end of the first half in game one, they won an 18-4 run. End of the first half tonight, 26-8 run. And that was it. It was 59-51 at the half, Golden State. Golden State's first lead was 44-43 with 4 minutes and 11 seconds left in the second quarter. So Denver was the one that came out hot. Denver looked like they had all the advantage. And then Golden State goes on a 16-0 run, and the Poole, Clay, Steph, Draymond, Wiggins lineup is just incredible. Jordan Poole is emerging as a star. And, the thing about it is, Rye, is that he's a great shooter, but and I was just tweeting about this, where Golden State, where I think Poole's greatest value is going to be, is not in this round where Denver looks outgunned. It's the next round, the next round, and the next round. The next 3 rounds, if Golden State can get there. Why? Because now at the end of games, you can finish with Steph and Poole both handling the rock in the backcourt, and they're both shooting like 93% from the foul line, and they both have range that kicks out way past the 3-point line. So, you can not defend them and give them open looks. They did that at times tonight for Poole and Clay. Or you can be all over them and, drape your defense all over these guys. But then if you send them to the foul line, it's down. I mean, they're going to make 93%. So to me, I can't wait to see what Golden State looks like next round against either Minnesota or Memphis, and in the conference final round against Phoenix, maybe even in the NBA finals. At the end of games, when it's close and you've got Steph and Poole handling the ball most of the time, I think that's where Golden State is going to out-efficient teams down the stretch, because what are you going to do? How are you going to handle 2 guys in the backcourt? Poole leads the NBA in free throw percentage. Steph, we all know, misses like 1 a month. They're both well over 90%. Pick your poison. 2 guards that can handle and drive and dish and Poole's in his prime. Steph's a little bit past his prime, but two guys that shoot 93% from the line, it's going to be very difficult to come back on this Golden State team if they have any sort of lead and they can put the ball in the hands of Steph and Poole in the fourth quarter. Not to mention Thompson, but definitely Steph and Poole, the way they shoot the free throws. How are you going to defend that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these past couple of years, I've started to feel like, I remember in 15 and 16, like that death lineup just freaked teams out. They didn't know what to do. And I've sort of felt like, oh, you know what? I think maybe people got a little bit used to it, a little bit used to the small ball warriors, whatever. You could see Denver's brain just break when they had Poole and Clay and Steph and Wiggins and Draymond out there. Like, a couple different times in like I remember one with like 8 seconds left in the shot clock. They're single covering Steph. Like, when was the last time we saw that? Well, it's been these past couple of years. It's been so much of just Steph having to just, over two people from the perimeter. And it's like, what? They're so freaked out by Poole, and then they're forgetting about Clay. It's ridiculous. And I will say, at the beginning of the game, though, didn't it sort of feel like, oh no, this is kind of the recipe we were talking about. Like, right at the beginning of the game, it was like 2 quick fouls on Looney. The game was slow. It was slowing down. Jokic was touching the ball a ton, and he was putting the ball in the basket. He was, whipping it around, and they started making their threes. And it sort of felt like, oh no, like this is kind of the recipe. This is kind of what works, what theoretically could work against the Warriors. And then it just seemed like, they had maybe a couple bad calls go against them. And when Steph started making his threes tonight, like, it was just, the whole place exploded. You could see the whole team was so stoked. They're all stoked for each other. Denver is just like, they know that like the Dragons awoken, and they just start, yelling at each other. How many times did Draymond, after, Will Barton goes in and thinks he got fouled and he's yelling to the ref, and then all of a sudden Draymond has it, pushes it up the court before everyone's even back, and like they've got a bucket. God, it was just it was cool to see. It felt vintage.
I'll tell you, the one sequence that stood out to me was a third quarter sequence where Draymond Green they're in the half court set, right? And he's got Clay coming off a screen. Both defenders go with Clay.
Yes.
And Green kind of fakes a slight pass to the corner to Clay, fakes that pass, and then both defenders full on went with Klay Thompson, leaving Wiggins wide freaking open on a little roll to the hoop. And it was the easiest bucket of the night. And I'm just looking at that going, wow. I mean, Golden State puts so much pressure on you because Steph can flat out shoot it. Poole can do the same. Clay can do the same. And there's just, you got to guard these guys. You got to guard these guys on the perimeter. And when you do, and you have so much attention on these guys, what happens? Andrew Wiggins rolls to the hole and he gets an easy bucket. Let me hit the chat. Double check to see if you invited our guests, because our guests, I'm not sure, have been invited. Double check that. And let me read a couple of these responses in the chat room. And we'll get the chat going, and then we can see if we can get Cy and Kylan in the house. But double check, Rise, see if you had the invites to those guys.
Sure.
John Brower says, Jokic could not handle Draymond guarding him tonight. And you know what? The real point is that Draymond Green allows the Warriors to just play regular defense because he can handle all by himself I think the league's MVP. I don't know who's going to win the MVP. I'd give my vote to Embiid probably, but a guy who's up for it is Jokic. And the Nuggets beat Golden State 3 out of 4 this year, but Green wasn't there for any of it. And it's pretty clear watching these two games that Green can handle Jokic one-on-one. And because of that just kind of frees up the rest of the team to play Denver straight up. And, Aaron Gordon can't shoot. And I don't know.
I felt bad for him today.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody on Denver outside of Jokic can score even 15. They don't have, forget a 20-point scorer or a 25-point scorer. They don't have a 15-point scorer. You know, they've got Will Barton and Aaron Gordon and Monty Morris. And, you know, they got some guys, but they're going to score like 10, 12. They're not going to light you up for 15 plus, and you can forget about 20. I don't see it. This one from Rebel 444. He said they split action them to death, and the back door off the slip was always open because the threes were raining down. It's just demoralizing at that point. I mean, Rebel makes a great point. It's a really, really tough situation for Golden State. James already rooting on the audience in the chat room. Hit the like button. Thanks, James.
Thanks,
We
James.
do appreciate that. James also says, love the way they're using Klay Thompson. That's a good point as well. Klay Thompson has looked really, really good, even in short minutes. All right, before we welcome in Cyrus, because I see him hanging in the green room, let me tell you who the sponsors of this show are. Our first sponsor is Telmetrics.co. And they are a terrific company. They're one of our original sponsors here. And Telmetrics is an incredible sponsor. And we thank Casey Bateman and all the people at Telmetrics.co. We put their there we go, Telmetrics.co. And if you're an orthopedic surgeon, an occupational therapist, a chiropractor, a physical therapist, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in clinical and telehealth environments. Using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much, much more. So, if you have sports injuries, if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist, make sure you go to their site, telmetrics.co. And thanks to Casey and all the good people at Telmetrics. And our other sponsors, Dan Coach Emilio, securemoney.com. Danny's a good friend as well. Give him a call right now, 925-628-9966. And he's a retirement planning specialist. So, you know, these are uncertain times, a lot of uncertainty in the world today for sure. So you want to make sure your money is where it is safe and secure for your retirement. He's got 25 years of experience, and he's born and raised here in the Bay Area. Niner fan, Giant fan, Warrior fan, and he can help you. Danny can get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. Give him a call for an appointment today. 925-628-9966, securemoney.com. Make sure you're putting your money where it is secure. Dan Coach Emilio, give him a call today for an appointment. He'll go over what your current plan is and help you make adjustments to it. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com. Thanks to Dan Coach Emilio. Thank you, Danny, and thank you, Casey, for being sponsors of the Krueg Show. Without further ado, we welcome in, oh my goodness, Locked On Warriors podcast host, the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the great Cyrus Saatsaz.
No, you're the legend, dude.
I'm tired of people calling me a legend. That just means I'm old. Hey, by the way, do you like my blue lights tonight? Do you see
what's going on there? I loved your ads with the actual visuals attached to it. That was a whole level of professionalism right there, man.
Did you
Impressive.
like that?
What's the blue light?
I've got the colored lights going tonight.
What is that? Why?
Because the Warriors have the blue and the Warriors got the win, so I figured I'll go with the blue. I could really make it blue by turning off all lights altogether and just getting into the blue.
Make it
really see that? Look at that.
You got a lava lamp. You got what else we're rolling with? Some incense.
I can play with it if I want. I mean, I can go red on you. You like the red?
Dude, hipping me out all day, every day.
I can go red.
So are the Giants playing tonight?
Giants were rained out, Si.
Okay, good. So this time, so I was about to ask. I'm like, were you watching?
It's all Warriors tonight. We're talking Warriors.
Good. Oh, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna ask if you're. So if the Giants were playing, would you have given your full attention to the Warriors? Are you flipping back and forth? How does that work?
Well, okay. First of all, Giants were a 4:10 start. Warriors were a 7:00 start. So
hypothetically, let's say it's a night game and they're playing at the same time. Game 2 of the first round, Warriors, regular season April game, Giants. How are you divvying that up?
I go playoffs over regular season. So I watch the Warriors live and then I'll tape the Giants.
There you go.
or get a little Giants going on the laptop.
There you go.
I mean, that's the other thing. You know, Ryan's younger, so he immediately thinks multiple screens. You know, but I probably would start with the playoff game. I mean, my fandom is probably Giants Niners over Warriors, but you know what? I'm a lifelong Warrior fan. You know, seriously, I'm high fiving people when World Free threw it over to Purvis Short back to Bernard King. You know what I mean? So it's like
which adds credence to your objectivity when you were making all the calls early on. I respect that, man.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm a hardcore Warrior guy. Heck, we just had Larry Harris on earlier this week.
I know, dude. And that flew under the radar, dude, because he's actually a big time guy with the Warriors. I mean, anyone who influences personnel decisions to me is like about as high as you can get, dude. I mean, you're buddies with Ned Coletti, who had immense power in baseball for years. What is he doing now? I don't know what your buddy Ned is doing now. I just love his name above everything else.
Ned's teaching. He's like you. He's a college professor at Pepperdine.
Professor, nice.
Well, no, you're not at Pepperdine, but he's at Pepperdine. Yeah, Malibu.
He is. So
he's teaching.
Posh.
Yeah, he's teaching full time at Pepperdine. Ned is scouting for the San Jose Sharks still because he's got that hockey background. And
wait, I did not know that.
Yeah, he covered hockey in Philadelphia. As a young person. Yeah. And he's close with Doug Wilson.
Man, then I mean,
he's got
an expert.
He's
like kind of like you, Larry. I mean, you were like a football scout, but then you're like, I mean, you're jumping all over.
Ned's got range, as Ryan would say. He's got range. And then Ned did Dodger media last year in LA, but is not doing Dodger media this year. So his baseball connection is the Krueg show. So we're going to have him on. He'll be with us next on Saturday when the Giants finish up the game against the Nationals, game 2 of Giants Nationals from DC. Ned will join us on the post game later this week. So super fired up to have him on because, I mean, seriously, some of these post game shows and you look at who's talking and you're like, why in the hell would I ever listen to that person? You know what I mean? But Ned Coletti is like, knows the game cold, right? And he's a guy who's given decades to the game. And I guarantee you that Ned Coletti's observations on Giants games this year will be far greater than any media individual that you will find in any medium, radio, television, anywhere. It would be like if Bob Myers joined us. It would be like if Bob Myers joined us and you could listen to, 3 guys up the dial and 2 people you'd never heard of, throwing it around on TV, or Bob Myers. Who are you going to listen to? You're going to listen to Bob Myers.
Myers all day. Yeah, exactly.
So, you're going to listen to Ned Coletti. But let's talk about the game tonight because
let's do it, man.
Jordan, the Warriors came out. You knew Denver was going to fire, and Denver came out firing. They looked good early. Jokic got involved early, and it looked like Denver maybe was going to put one on Golden State. And then suddenly Golden State goes to that lineup late second quarter, and they flip the script. And I would say right now, the Warrior lineup with Jordan Poole and Draymond and Clay and Steph and Wiggins, that lineup right now, I think is the talk of the NBA playoffs. And if it isn't, it should be, because Golden State with that lineup is obliterating teams. They've got unbelievable range. I was just saying before you got on, Cy, that to Ryan, that the one thing I love about Poole and Steph is even a factor that we've not really seen come in, make an impact yet. And that is against better teams. If Golden State can get a fourth quarter lead, let's just say Golden State could get a 6 or 7 point lead with like 8 minutes left in a game. They can withstand other teams' runs, I believe, because they've got 2 93% foul shooters who can handle the ball. How are you gonna come back on a team where every time down the floor in the fourth quarter of games, they're going back and ping-ponging back and forth between 2 guys that if you foul them, it's like you just gave up two points because they're going to the line and they're going to make it. Wait until we see that next round. Wait until we see that in the conference finals. I feel pretty good now that I see the whole picture of Golden State with Poole, because I thought Poole would regress. And I told you that a few days ago, that I thought with the added pressure, the added scrutiny, the added defensive focus on him, that he would feel that pressure and go back to what he's been prior, which was a kind of a shameless gunner who's kind of low percentage. But instead, he's making the extra pass. How about that pass he made to Bielitsa?
There's a few. There's a few.
Yeah, I
few
mean,
incredible behind the back
Poole is
passes.
taking it to another level. Give me your thoughts.
Absolutely, man. It's I mean, you're seeing all the new nicknames. I'm still leaning towards Splash Party. I don't think you should remove the Splash name until the man earns a ring. You know, I don't think he's it's still a long way to go. It's 2 wins. You got to get 14 more for the coveted Larry O'Brien. But look, man, I mean, you look at the 3 players. Obviously, it's they didn't bring him in for the second straight game, like all 3 of them together, until like the 5-minute mark of the second quarter. I mean, until then, like Kurt holds those guys back, and then he goes, it's almost like holding like a couple pit bulls and just holding them on a chain and going steady, and they're just ready to bark and go. And then he's like, all right, go get them. And then the Warriors just take off, and it's just over. You can't stop that triumvirate. You can't. And there's a lot of like unsung heroes, like Otto Porter Jr., for example. Everyone keeps saying it's Steph, it's the pool party, it's Clay. And Clay had kind of an off night, by the way. It was a 21 points, but it was more representative of like March Clay a little more, but because he was 9 for 19 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. I mean, by a common man standard, common NBA player standard, that's great. By Clay standard, slightly below par or subpar. But Otto Porter Jr. is like the stats don't show it, but he is like really hitting shots when they count. He's playing amazing D, like against. I mean, a lot of the defense against Jokic tonight was Otto Porter Jr. And there are moments where like the 5th guy besides, Curry, Poole, Clay, Dre is him instead of Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins is doing great too, but there are moments where Otto Porter Jr. is clutch, and then Gary Payton II. And Larry, you've been talking about him for a long time. You came on Locked On Warriors with me, and you said, like, I want to see more Gary Payton II. And we're seeing it now. And this is what happens. He does nothing but great things out there. His defense on Jokic. I mean, that's really when Jokic finally like kind of peak for the night. He had a strong start to the game. He was getting trips to the line. And then all of a sudden, Gary Payton II, who is like 8 inches shorter than him, blocks his ass. And it was just, I felt like it was over right there. And the tidal wave came after that. Yeah, man. I mean, look, we have 14 more to go, but there's all the room in the world to be enthusiastic about. I mean, the hype train is real, folks. And yeah, man, we all saw it. What about that brawl, by the way? The Cousins,
Will Barton.
Was it Barton or was it Monte Morris? I couldn't tell.
It was Will Barton. Will Barton and Cousins started barking at each other, and then Jeff Green got in both their faces after they kept barking at each other. I don't know how you feel about Cousins. I mean, Cousins is odd. I mean, he's done some incredibly. I want to give him credit for the good things he's done because he's done some incredibly generous things. There's some occasionally tragedies that have struck either, Sacramento when he was there or the Bay Area. And it seems like, sometimes he's there to kind of, pay for a funeral or, he's done some gestures of incredible kindness. And to me, that when you do those kinds of things, it tells you a little bit about what's in someone's heart. So I think that maybe deep down he's got a pretty good heart, but it's always something. It's always something. Yeah. He's always battling. And here he is. He's a role player. Barton's the second leading scorer on this team. And I don't know what was said there, but
what I heard is I think Bonte Hill tweeted this out. Supposedly Cousins was trying to hype the team up. I don't know what the exact words were. I don't know what the context was, but supposedly Cousins was, trying to get in there and fire the team up. And it didn't translate. and Will Barton just took offense to it and almost started a fight. But you're right. Cousins he lacks a filter. His ego is huge and it just gets in the way, man. I think if he was you're right. I don't doubt he's a great guy. I mean, he still stays in touch with all the Warriors players. Like, he played with the team for that year and he really showed
several players swear by him, right? Several of the Warrior players, Draymond, and
him were talking
and they know him. I don't know him, but I mean, he's just, to me, I guess, where I kind of finished with Cousins is when he bowed up on the Sacramento Bee. You know, there was like a 60-year-old Sacramento Bee writer who wrote some story he didn't like, and there was video of Boogie in the locker room, and he's like 27, he's 7
I
feet, and he's
remember.
like standing over this guy, and he's like physically threatening the guy. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know, when you start physically trying to intimidate, 60-year-old beat writers, you lose me. You lose me.
Yeah,
So
I think he's just he's got a guy. He's a big heart, but I don't know if maybe he needs therapy. I mean, because he's got anger issues, man. And I feel like if he just had a little help, maybe he would learn to control the emotions. That would take him so far in life. But who am I? I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But it's
here's
just,
the question. Here's the question. Is this series, guys, over? Is
oh
it
yeah.
over?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy for that. I mean, I
Well,
told you
you were
from the
saying it was
start.
over last night. You,
What's up?
you were saying last night it was over.
Yeah, I mean, I was like I said back in August, I was picking this team to win the championship, and honestly, I look at this team right now. My question isn't like whether they're going to win the championship if healthy. Obviously, anything could happen in that department. But let's say everyone's healthy and fully ready to go. Yeah, the Warriors are winning this whole thing. I don't think there's no doubt in my mind. And I know some people take that as cocky, overconfident. I'm trying. I really think pragmatically, objectively they are a full level above the next best team. And whoever that is, whether it's Memphis, Phoenix, maybe Boston, whose defense is really stout, whoever it is, the Warriors are in a class of their own. It's just they treat the regular season like a preseason, like at least their core players do. It's hard for them to take it seriously when you've had 5 consecutive second seasons with those really there was psychological warfare, there's physical warfare. I mean, what they went through was incredible, and you don't forget that with a 2-year layoff, and so I really do think they're the team to beat, and I know
You had them in
people are going to say
5 or 4.
5-4 for what?
For what was your prediction on the series?
Oh, 5, yeah, but it could
5.
be a sweep. It
So
could be
you
a
had
sweep, yeah,
Warriors
but
in 5. Ryan, what did you think beginning of the series?
Honestly, I thought 6.
Warriors in 6.
Yeah.
I thought Denver was going to get them, but you know what? After watching one half of the first game, I'm like, wow, Denver's going to need some more firepower. I'll say this too. It's an amazing thing that Aaron Gordon has made as much money as he's made in the NBA. He has no offensive game outside the lane. Nothing. You cannot depend on Aaron Gordon, who went to Midi, Bay Area kid, great. I'm always root for the Bay Area zone. And I like Aaron Gordon's dunking ability. I liked him at Arizona. I loved him in the back-to-back dunk contest with Levine. But Aaron Gordon couldn't go for 20 if everybody else left the gym. I mean, it's amazing how
Aaron
little
Gordon,
he cannot shoot the perimeter shot.
yeah, Aaron Gordon reminds me a lot of Andrew Wiggins in the sense that if he's like your 4th or 5th best guy in the court, he can be really good. But if you're counting on him to be like Jokic's number 2 guy, just forget it. I mean, it's he just doesn't have the skill set. He had flashes of that physical dominance in Orlando, but yeah, this is just not a guy who's a great shooter. He's an okay defender. And by the way, for people to are making fun of my eyes, this is very late for me. So just I love the stoner jokes; they are funny. I'm all in. But
People are saying whatever size on. I want some of that.
I'm not saying I'm an angel, but this is also very late for me. So do you own any Dodgers regalia? Because if you want to revise the bet we made, I'd be down for you wearing some sort of Dodgers hat or jersey.
I have both because I coached a little league team that had Dodgers. We were the Dodgers one year, so I have I have Dodger hats and I have a jersey. I have an old Brooklyn Dodgers jersey that says Krueger on the back. Yeah.
All right. Seriously. So if you're down for that, let's do that. How about this? If the Warriors win this series instead of cash,
because of our bet, you're not going to make me pay. You're going to let me just be humiliated wearing Dodger stuff
for one episode. Come on, Locked On Warriors, and you got to wear a Dodger hat or jersey.
Wait, what did you say, Ryan?
With a full blue light going the entire time.
Yeah, that's good too. And the blue light. I love it.
Now after watching 2 games, Ramon says. He says Ramon De La Cruz. He said if Warriors blow out Denver in Game 3, it's a sweep.
Yeah. Denver's getting one. Denver's getting one.
You think Denver's getting one?
Yeah,
I don't. So. What do you?
I mean,
I mean, it's a tough place to play. That's the one thing, and
yeah.
it's altitude, and Malone will have them ready to fight and claw, and they'll do what they need to do. I just look at Denver right now, and I'm looking at Golden State, and I'm thinking this is just a bad matchup for Denver because Golden State with Clay healthy, Steph getting healthy, and Poole just having total license to gun and locked in right now, they can score. They can score. So you're going to have to score. And I just think they put so much pressure on Denver. If Denver had Murray, if Denver had another scorer or two, maybe it'd be one thing, but they don't. Denver's second scorer is Barton. I mean, is there going to be a Denver player outside of Jokic who scores 15 in a game in this series?
Yeah.
Barton, he
You think
scored
so?
24 in game one, and I could see. I mean, they're the most unimportant points, if that makes sense. Like they're just irrelevant. Like they're just filler points. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not anything that's going to make a difference in the series. Look, I think if Denver's going to win a game, it'll be game 3. And I think Ramon, if I got the name right, yeah, I think I'm on the train with him. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but could you look? When you look at this Nuggets team, do you still see fight? Like I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 Cancun.
They're
Like I've
fighting
already
each
seen
other.
that.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing
I mean
fight.
exactly.
Yeah,
They're
I'm seeing
battling
fight.
each other. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I don't see any fight. I see a team
Yeah.
that is totally outgunned. Now they're
Yes.
pointing the finger. And this is the Jordan Poole coming out party. So I
It
mean,
is, man.
Jordan Poole in this series, and this is like with a couple minutes to play in the fourth quarter, but he was 18 of 26, 10 of 15 from 3, 11 of 12 from the line, 57 points on 26 shots. So not only is he an explosive player, not only is he a dead-eye free throw shooter, but that he's playing with tremendous efficiency. So you add a player in his prime playing with who's as dangerous as Poole is, playing an efficient level of basketball, and you've got Green. I'll tell you the other one, that Green's such an incredible player right now, and he's totally in a perfect spot. He's got it dialed in emotionally.
What was his stat line in that game? Because but right before
Green?
you talk about him, because
6, 3, and 6.
Yeah, hilarious.
But
Yeah,
but he's directing traffic out there.
It's
I mean, he doesn't
unreal.
really need to score. Well, on this team, he doesn't really need to score. I mean, I'd like a
incredible.
few more rebounds. I think Golden State got destroyed on the glass in the second half of this game, because I was looking at halftime. I think Golden State was like +2 on the glass. And for the game side, are you looking at the final box? What was the final rebounding totals?
They got out rebounded 47-35, and on the offensive glass, which is what I always
So they were like
-14
-14 in the second half, probably.
Yeah,
on the
and
glass.
it was 17-6 on the offensive glass, which is, and again, that always sticks out to me more because that represents second chance points, and so it wasn't good. Yeah, they got killed there, but we expected Denver to come with more fight tonight. I mean, Jokic was way more aggressive. There was like that one. What kills me with rebounding is when teams get second chance points on free throws. Like, and that happened tonight. That was ugly. But on the flip side, 2 4-point plays. I mean, that stuck out. And then Stephen Curry, by the way, was Mr. Efficiency. I mean, this was like one of the greatest sixth men performances. 12 for 17 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3. The only blemish was missing 2 free throws in various like technical positions. Like one was it technical. I can't remember what the second one was, but yeah, he missed 2 of those. And it was funny because there was a debate between him and Poole for who will shoot those. I think they were both on the court at the same time, and Poole deferred. He's like, dude, you're Steph. And I love that respect that Poole has, by the way, because a player of Poole's stature at this point could easily just let that ego take over. And suddenly he's like a John Morant, where he's like playing with this, invisible chip on his shoulder that really shouldn't be there that much to begin with. And he's just all angry and thinks he's like better than everyone else. And he has none of that. He's a humble dude. He doesn't think he's better than anyone else. And, like he's being deferential to Steph. That's perfect. Like that is exactly what Jordan Poole should be doing. And I'm really stoked on him, man. The Warriors are sitting on just insane potential, not just this year. And sorry if I'm just gloating, but I don't see why I shouldn't at this point. I mean, they're not only now where they could win a championship this year. Kuminga's not even playing. Moody's not even playing. Who knows what's going to happen with Wiseman? But how can you not be excited about Jordan Poole? I mean, back-to-back games where he's just dominating, leading the team in scoring. Bravo.
One thing we should announce, if you're watching the Krueg show tonight on Facebook or on Twitter, come on over to YouTube. At some point, we will be cutting off the Twitter and Facebook crowd, forcing you to all come over to YouTube. But check us out on YouTube, of course. And if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on Facebook, join us on YouTube. This
real
was
quick, can I just
yeah,
can
go
I just
ahead.
say real quick?
Yeah.
Jordan Poole was not the leading scorer tonight. I apologize for that. He was the second leading scorer to Steph, but
Yeah.
still 29 points. You know, he had 31 in game one. Incredible. Sorry, just wanted to correct that.
Randy 415 says you want a sweep to limit the wear and tear. What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that? There's one school of thought that says you want to, race through it as fast as possible, get as much rest as possible.
Mhm.
That's one theory. The other theory is that when you're playing great basketball, you don't want too much of a divide between any series, and you want to keep playing somewhat regularly. If Golden State sweeps, because I don't know how you feel, but I think Memphis, Minnesota goes the distance. I think that thing is going to be a battle. Now, maybe I'm wrong because maybe Memphis is, doesn't have another level to get to. I talked about this earlier today with Grant Napier. We were previewing tonight. We were both
Mhm.
kind of amazed that Minnesota took one from Memphis.
Mhm.
I personally think he still likes Memphis to come back and win that series. I'm
Yeah.
not as convinced. I think Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns are two of the best players in the entire league. And to me, Memphis and their coach, I think their coach deserves coach of the year, but it's almost like a backhanded compliment because I think he got so much out of them guys that I don't think I think Memphis has played at a playoff caliber level for a good portion of the year. And I'm not sure that Memphis has another level to get to where Minnesota, Anthony Edwards looks like the greatest young player in the league right now. And Karl Anthony Towns is an all-star big man who is dominant. So, I mean, I know it's a team game, but those two guys right now are scary as hell. And I don't know that I don't know that I would feel too good about either team against Golden State next round. I think next round I think Memphis is going to be a challenge, but after watching Edwards and Cat, I think Minnesota is going to be a disaster for anybody to get out of there next round. Who do you guys think would be the tougher matchup for Golden State? And ultimately, where are you guys on that series? Why don't we start with Ryan? Are you a believer? I think Minnesota is going to win that series. Grant thinks that Memphis is getting back in it. I think Memphis is a regular season team that is doesn't have a level to get to. I like Minnesota. Ryan, what do you think?
So I'm inclined to kind of agree about the whole regular season. Maybe they don't have the, the next level to jump to, but at the same time, like, what were they, like 18-2 down the stretch without Ja?
Yeah.
So like, doesn't that mean like you're adding Ja Morant and also Cyrus? I heard that I heard that little Ja Morant little backhanded.
Gig. Oh yeah, no, it's not back. It's blatant. I really don't like his arrogance, man. It turns me off tremendously.
All right,
I
well,
digress.
that just scares me for going forward, bulletin board. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be worried about the Timberwolves. I think I'd pick Grizzlies in 6 still. I think they're going to turn it around. I think they're a really good team. And I actually, in a weird way, am almost more scared of the Grizzlies than I am the Suns, just because, like, Booker's played horrible versus the Warriors this year. CP has his weird little Steph thing, of course, in the playoffs. That's all, And then the Grizzlies are just so young. Like they don't quite respect the Warriors. You know what I mean? They don't quite respect that scariness that the Warriors have. That thing that kind of intimidates teams. I think they're so young. I think, and then beating us in the playing game last year. So. Yeah, I definitely would way rather see the Timberwolves, but I think the Grizzlies got it.
So where are you on this one? Because Randy 415 says, Larry, this is not the 2012 Detroit Tigers, which is everybody knows the 2012 Detroit Tigers were awesome. And then I think destroyed was it the A's in the playoffs? They got into the World Series against LaRusse's Cardinals. And Russa's Cardinals, I think, won. Didn't the Cardinals beat the Tigers in the 2012 series? And I think it was the
Wasn't that the
Tigers.
Giants?
What's oh
20
no, 2012 Tigers. Well, no, I think he's confusing the Tigers because 2012 Giants beat them. Yeah, you're right. But I think he's talking about an earlier Tiger team that got into the World Series against LaRussa's Cardinals and then had all kinds of pitching, errors defensively and couldn't get back in rhythm. Baseball is a daily game. You don't want rest. I guess basketball is more you want that rest. You don't look at it.
For a veteran team like the Warriors.
Rest versus rust is more of a baseball debate than a basketball debate. This is a marathon. And if you're, NBA season is a marathon and you want as much rest basically as you can get, right? Isn't that pretty much it, Si?
I would 100% agree with you there. Yeah, the Warriors would take that rest all day, any day. And look, if they sweep the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, Timberwolves go 7, I think the Warriors have the potential for like 9 or 10 days off in between series. It's a wild number, and I could think they could use it. And I agree with Ryan, man. The Grizzlies, I still think I'm not going to judge them off game 1. I mean, I've seen time and again a lot of great teams lose game 1s. LeBron James is notorious for losing game 1s. I'm not making that comparison, but just kind of just pointing it out that it could happen without it being indicating, the team's representation as a whole. I think this could go 7. The Grizzlies are more, first of all, I highly doubt what I say is going to be bulletin board material for anyone. That's why I don't care about talking about the Grizzlies. I mean, who am I, right? But I mean, if Steph is saying it, oh my God, yeah, that's crazy. But even the Warriors are very smart when it comes to bulletin board material. It's just one of the many things I love about them.
They don't
the Grizzlies
talk a big
are not.
game.
The Grizzlies are not, man. I mean, they get bulletin board material for the Timberwolves. They still are. They've given bulletin board material for the Warriors that I know is going to be going up if and when that series happens. So, I mean, the hope here, and I think it's very realistic, is a 7-game series because all the Grizzlies are doing is riling up the Timberwolves. I mean, they're just for unnecessarily. It is really like baffling to me. It shows a lack of intellect, of basic acumen that, dude, don't give people extra motivation. What good does that do for you? But that's what they're doing. And so, I think the series is going to go 7. I do think Memphis will win it, but I'm hoping for the Timberwolves. I think that would be a much easier series simply because if you look at the end of the regular season, for context here, the Suns are the team that everyone continues raving about and glowing about, and to a certain degree, rightfully so. I mean, 64 wins is nothing to laugh at, but when the Grizzlies and Suns played, the Grizzlies owned them. I mean, it was very one-sided. And this Grizzly team, I think their potential is scary a little bit. Like they almost kind of worry me the most among all teams of the NBA. So
really,
that's my feeling on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like scared. I don't think the Warriors will lose. I think they win in 6, but they're
like the Warriors
to
win it all. So who tests in your mind? Who is going to give Golden State the best series en route to the parade? Because you're basically. You're already out. You're on the first float. I mean, you're thinking parade. So who is
in Oakland?
What team gives them what team tests them the most in your opinion?
Either and these are all just opinions. I'd love to hear you two as well.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be 1, 2 would be 1, 2, 3 would be Grizzlies, Celtics, Suns. I think
how
that's
about you, Ryan?
The pecking
Grizzlies.
order.
He's going Grizzlies, Celtics, Suns.
And then I think the Bucks would be number 4. The Bucks were number 1, but when I saw them play in the regular season, the Bucks were trying in that game. They were legit trying, and the Warriors with I think that was Draymond's first game back. They just toyed with them. I mean, it was. I mean, I saw that game and I'm like, whoa! Like the Warriors are at a whole nother level. I know it was a regular season game, but again, I mean, there was urgency on the Bucks' part because they were trying to regroup and regain their momentum for the final part of the season's push and. Dude, they got schooled. So that's my order. What do you guys think?
I'm going Suns 1, and I would probably go. That's tough. I would probably go Suns.
This is all tough.
Suns, Grizzlies, T-Wolves. I fear Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns.
Fair.
I mean, I think Edwards is a superstar. I mean, he is, and this is the season for stars. And he to me of it coming into today's, we're now 3 days into the NBA playoffs. If there has been one guy in the league that makes you go, "Ooh," to me, it's Anthony Edwards. He's the guy that I've watched this weekend that I thought, because Chris Paul's healthy, that's one thing, and he can finish. Donovan Mitchell's playing really, really well. Kyrie, outside of flipping birds, is playing pretty well. But to me, Edwards is just on a different level. So I'd probably go Memphis. I'd go Phoenix, Memphis, T-Wolves. I guess I could try to get excited about somebody in the East, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough.
Impressed me. The
The
Celtics
Celtics are a good
especially.
team. They're a good team.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rye, where are you? Well, how would you rank the toughest teams that Golden State potentially could run into here?
I want to say Suns, Bucks, probably Celtics. Can I just say the winner of the Celtics Nets series? I still would not want to see KD and Kyrie. And then nobody said Philly yet. I kind of don't think Philly would really be able to pull it off once they got there. But
Philly looks good. They're up 2-0 on Toronto, and they look like they're going to put Toronto away.
It's always so good versus.
Yeah, Philly faded for me with this series because I'm seeing the Warriors handle Jokic, and I'm thinking, okay, this shows me that like the Suns have so many more weapons, so DeAndre Ayton could be interesting. But with Philly, James Harden, he's just not a strong mental person as a professional athlete. I don't think he has like that mental toughness to carry a team to a championship. And Draymond's just that good. He's just that good. There's so many facets of this Warriors team that you could really just go off on a whole.
Don't sleep on Tyrese Maxey though. Maxey's
that's
playing
true.
at a very high level, and Embiid might be the MVP.
Yeah. Embiid's going to get. Maybe Jokic won't, but Embiid will get our bigs in foul trouble. Like that guy.
By the way, I just to switch gears for a second here because I love to get your insights on this. So on this morning's Locked On Warriors, and I just want to shamelessly promote it since I got to bounce here in a second. We're doing this a lot. I mean, the playoff. There's going to be a lot of playoff games here. On this morning's Locked On Warriors, Connor Letourneau of the San Francisco Chronicle has been covering the Warriors for I don't know how many years now. He joined me, and we both talked about an interesting thing that is very under the radar. It hasn't been talked about that much about the Warriors. And I bring this up because you rave about Anthony Edwards, and the Warriors could have had him. He was right there for him. The Warriors scouted him very closely, and
I thought Edwards went 1 in front of Wiseman.
What's up?
Didn't Edwards go 1 in front of Wiseman?
Well, yeah, but the reason why they could have had him is the Timberwolves were never sold on Edwards, and they were shopping that number 1 pick, and they approached the Warriors. This has been reported. This is not speculative. They approached the Warriors, asking them. The report said that the Timberwolves were offering the number 1 pick in exchange for the number 2 pick and the following year's pick, which was theirs to begin with. They wanted it back. But if the Warriors didn't, and that ended up being Kuminga, but it could have been negotiated. And the Warriors just didn't want Edwards. They just did not think that he fit with them, and they really wanted Wiseman. And I'm just wondering what you thought about that, because it's kind of crazy to me that I don't know how he would fit with the pool party now just taking off.
He'd fit great.
There you go.
I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, two guards who can play, yes, I understand, right? I think we all understand. You could look at Edwards and say redundant, right? Redundant parts. You got Steph, you got Clay, you don't need Edwards. I get that. But, he's maybe one of the best athletes in the entire league. He's got about 40-inch vertical. He's got tremendous confidence. The shot, a lot of the flaws in his game that we saw, we now realize were just youth. His shot always looked good to me, but his percentage wasn't great at Georgia. Well, why is that? Because he was a freshman, and he was a freshman with the green light. So he just hoisted. So his percentage kind of sucked. So I think when people looked at his percentage, they thought, oh, this guy's got a broken shot. But the shot always looked nice. It just the percentage was bad. So
and Tom Crean is a head coach at Georgia, who's really, Jim Harbaugh's brother-in-law, I think, right? And he's like, as a head coach, I don't know if he's the right person to develop, a young superstar. Yeah, I would have loved him. I would have loved him.
We know who would go first if there was a redraft between LaMelo and Edwards.
Well, the speculation is the Timberwolves wanted to they were willing to switch, and then they wanted LaMelo. I still go Anthony Edwards.
If
And
you could do that again and you had the first pick in the draft, you'd take Edwards?
Yeah.
if I was the
Rye, how about you?
Timberwolves, I'd take Edwards because he's like a culture changer. Like he actually seems like everyone loves him, and yet somehow like he's the guy that he thinks he's the best player in the world, and I kind of love it. He after this game, he said he thinks he's the best defender in the game, and he says it in like a way that I'm not mad at him for it. Like I kind of respect it. Like I'm like that guy, that's awesome. But wait, I also have one more spin zone. How about the Pelicans looking saying, man, we could have had Jordan Poole instead of Zion, number one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of teams that
they
pass
might
on
have
him.
had 2 picks before Poole was taken.
Yeah,
49er
there's
minded
a
says,
lot of teams that pass.
I love what we're doing so far, but I want to see more of Kuminga. What do you think? Basically, Kerr has just sat Kuminga.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's almost like he will. I actually think it's smart because I think a rookie doesn't know the difference between the regular season and the postseason. So why not let him sit and watch and drink it in and at least visually take in what playoff level basketball is like. And then after he watches a couple games of it, then throw him out on the floor. I think Kerr's handling Kuminga perfectly, as opposed to just awarding him minutes early on. Why? Because he played in the regular season and he's springy and he had a couple. You know, to me, I think if you asked Kerr and every Warrior coach, they'd tell you it's a dramatic difference between preseason ball and regular season ball, and there's probably even more of a difference between regular season ball and playoff ball. So why throw him out there in the first couple games and you know have him make a bunch of mistakes? Let him watch the tempo. Let him watch how well they take care of the basketball. Let him watch the differences between how they play in the regular season and the playoffs. And then after a couple games, like if you want to play him in Denver now, play him. Now you've given him 2 games to kind of see the way you play in the playoffs. I mean, I like the game plan with Kuminga.
And I was just going to say, add to that, I think a lot of this is just matchups. Like, it's just, look at the results speak for themselves. Like, it's one thing if these are close games, if they're losing, yeah, you start questioning, but they're winning these games by 20 points, whatever the margin is, these aren't close games. So the Warriors are winning convincingly. Bjelica is doing a solid job out there. Look, Kuminga doesn't look the happiest in this role. And I do hope that this, nothing bad happens through all this in that process. But it's also about matchups. He's not needed for this Nuggets series. He might be getting heavy minutes against a Grizzlies team that is younger, faster, stronger. They might need his athleticism at that point. He is a fantastic player. I do think he's deserving of minutes. But at the same time, it's like this is a deep team and he's a rookie. And look, it's working. What they're doing is working. So Kuminga just hopefully is taking this in stride and learning and rolling with it and not being upset at the lack of minutes. I really hope that's the case.
What do you think, Rye? You like the way Kerr's bringing Kuminga along? I mean, he's basically just said, you know what? I'm going with my veterans. Even today, Andre Iguodala got hurt. Kerr's like, you know what? I'm just going to shorten my bench. Most NBA playoff teams go with 9. I've been going with 10. You know what? No, Andre, no problem. I'm not going to make an adjustment. He sat Kuminga again. I think I think he's going to give Kuminga some run, but I like the idea of letting Kuminga, drink it all in and see if he can, visually kind of figure out what level playoff basketball's at.
Absolutely. And honestly, watching Kuminga, he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy that's going to come in and be, super worried about it being the playoffs. Like that guy's got confidence, he really does. And I think there's a chance we see him at Denver, but I don't think Kerr's going to mess up a bad thing, mess up a good thing. And also, the one thing, if we, watching Steve Kerr all these years is like Kuminga is going to have his moment in the playoffs. Like he always made sure everybody's going to have their time to shine. Unfortunately, it was Festus Ezeli in Game 7 of 2016. That was pretty rough. And Anderson Varejao, those are some rough minutes to go back and rewatch. But Kuminga is going to get some run. But yeah, I completely agree with what he's doing.
A couple more minutes with Cy before we let him get on with his night. Roland says, Larry, Nuggets in 6. All right. Just messing with you. Happy about the Warriors win. Yes, he's referring to the fact that I picked the Nuggets in 6. Jackson J says Edwards is a smaller version of LeBron.
Could be.
There's some physical dominance there with Anthony Edwards. I will say that. I don't know if he's LeBron. LeBron's 6'9". Edwards is 6'4" and change. But still, that I don't know. To me, Edwards, what do you think of the comparison to LeBron, guys?
I like it. I mean, it's a good comparison. I mean, both players resemble football players. I mean, they're like, I could see them as linebackers, running backs. I mean, LeBron's probably too tall for running back, but these are physical specimens. And if Edwards can hit a consistent outside shot, heck yeah. I mean, I don't see a huge difference between them. He does have that potential. Good call.
Hey, Cy, we'll let you go, man. I know you got to bounce, so I appreciate you stopping by. Tell people where they can catch you and when you're going to be on again.
Yeah, so tomorrow and Locked On Warriors is daily. Larry's going to be back on there soon with Dodgers Regalia. But you can follow the Twitter program on at Locked On Dubs, and me on Twitter at Doc Surf Roadshow. And like I said, we're doing this all through the playoffs, man. I'm having fun. I'm loving this. Thanks for bringing me on. And I got to get to sleep. That's the only reason why I'm balancing. Otherwise, I'd be here all night with you.
Dude, we will catch you after the next on Warriors with Cyrus doing a bang-up job, and that's 5 days a week, and you'll be back at it tomorrow. So, Cy, great win tonight. Thanks for stopping by the Krueg Show, my man. Have a
Thanks,
phenomenal
man.
night.
Good to see you guys.
Take
Have
care.
a good night.
Cyrus Saatsaz in the house, and we're now no longer. We ejected him. Do you prefer to be on the right or do you like the left?
So I saw that comment in the chat. It was kind of smart. He said I should be on the right because the logo's in the upper right-hand corner and I'm a little lower.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Much better. Much better. Do you like the blue lights?
I'm digging the blue lights.
Ooh. Rebel 444 says, why do the Dodgers even get a mention? That's just not welcome. No more. What it's about is that Cyrus on the Locked On Warriors show with me and Kylan Mills the other day, we had a little prediction on the series, and they both picked the Warriors. And I was scarred because I went to Warriors Nuggets earlier in the year and watched the Nuggets, beat the Warriors on a night where Draymond just turned it over just constantly. He was horrendous that night. I just said I kind of like the Nuggets because I like Jokic to dominate, but I really didn't think. I'll freely admit, I didn't think we were going to get this out of Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has had regular season momentum going, and the question was he going to be able to carry regular season momentum into the playoffs? And I had my doubts, and now 2 games in. I don't even know why I doubted him because he looks awesome.
Yeah, he's a dog. What's kind of fun is looking at our core team now, kind of looking what they did in college. It's like, Steph lit it up in March Madness, Draymond, great at Michigan State, and Jordan Poole. He hit. That 3 was one of the craziest moments in March Madness history. I think the guy just might be a dog. He might just be really ready for the bright lights.
Well, you know what I love too is his step back. He creates so much space for himself when he jumps, like a step back jump. He creates. He's giving himself like 3.5 yards. The guy really. He's a hard guy to defend because he's quick enough to go by you. So you got to give him a little bit of room, but then he also now has the step back. And he creates so much room on the step back jump. And then he can create so much room because he's got the ability to put it on the deck and blow right by you. How do you defend that? How do you defend a guy who can create 6 or 7 feet of room between him and the defender on his last jump? And the same guy's got the ability to, put it on the deck either hand and just blow by you. And has an incredible first step. So it's and then
you literally
he also has confidence right now. He's playing with tremendous confidence.
I'm sorry, Larry. You realize you literally just described Steph Curry. And
I know.
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. You literally described Steph Curry and kind of watching Jordan Poole. One of the things I can't tell if it makes me a little sad but seeing how quick he is, and if you kind of remember, I mean, Steph's lost a step, and he's gained some strength, and his game's changed a little bit, but man, it's a little bit like vintage Curry. He's so slithery, so quick, and oh my god, I felt bad for Aaron Gordon, man. He had a three in his face. And then, like, the next possession just blew right by him, put him in the spin cycle. And, yeah, God.
It's interesting, too. It's like, the Nuggets are done in a lot of ways because they were giving Poole and Clay at different times in the second half wide open looks.
Right.
How does Klay Thompson get his shoulders squared on the perimeter at this point in his career with nobody around him? I mean, that happened in this game. Poole did the same thing. He was like there were a couple sequences where he's wide freaking open and there's nobody around him. And, these guys are great shooters. These are world-class shooters that can shoot with guys draped all over them. If you're going to leave Klay Thompson or lose Jordan Poole in the half court, series is over.
Yeah.
Series is absolutely over. So, it will be interesting to see what Denver looks like in Game 3 because they got their in-house fighting. Now they're going home. There is 2 days off, right? I believe there's 2 days off here, and then they play Game 3. But I mean, needless to say, it's do or die for Denver for sure. Randy 415 says, "Few Nuggets look like deer in the headlights right now." You think this moment's just too big for the Nuggets? Because to me, it looks like they've got Jokic. But when Jokic, there was a couple sequences, I think third quarter, right, where Jokic fired up back-to-back threes.
Bricks.
And missed both of them. But I just think he's looking around the perimeter, and his natural inclination is to pass. Yep. He's a pass-first guy. And if you put him on a team like, could you imagine how good Golden State would be with Jokic? Seriously. I mean, think about it. Imagine if Wiseman had been really good. But then Denver said, you know what, we'll give you Jokic for Wiseman. Could you imagine Jokic on this team with Poole and Clay and Steph? If you had a 7-footer who could, basically threaten in the key and then throw dimes out to the perimeter for wide open threes from those three guys? I mean, it's they don't, we're never going to see that. But I mean, that's what Golden State is right now. They have so many shooters, and they it's like you can't defend the entire floor. You got to defend the 3-point line against Steph. You got to defend the 3-point line against Clay. You got to defend the 3-point line against Wiggins. You got to defend, you know what I mean? Look at Bielitsa. Bielitsa, you can't leave him out there and just say, you know what, screw it. We'll let him. No, you at least have to close out on him. Otto Porter, another guy, career 45% 3-point shooter. I mean, they've the addition of Porter and Bielitsa looked good in the regular season, but it looks great right now. Looks great right now because now you're looking at the floor going, okay, you got Curry and you got Thompson and you got Poole. Oh, wait a second. Now they got a 6'10" guy in Bielitsa camping out at the 3-point line, and you have to extend on him. Oh, wait a second. They just shuffled it around, and now Otto Porter, who shot over 40% from three his whole career, he's now getting basically uncovered looks. I mean, that's asking an awful lot. So, Golden State, I'll give Golden State credit. They looked like world beaters on Christmas. Then the second half of the year, February and March, not so much, right? Didn't look too good in February and March. Under 500, struggled on that second to last road trip. But man, the last 6 games, they go 5-1. They kind of regrouped, hit a reset for the playoffs. And maybe Denver's just the perfect matchup for them. But I definitely think it is because Denver looks, to me, and I mentioned this last night, they look just tired. Denver looks tired. So I don't know how much credence to. I don't know if I should take. It's like, is our takeaway from this series more about wow, look at Golden State, or wow, the Nuggets were gassed? And right now, I'm impressed by Jordan Poole, But if you said, what's your primary takeaway? It's, wow, the Nuggets look gassed. I got to think that whoever Golden State gets next round, pushes them a whole lot more than what we're seeing at right now from the Nuggets. What do you think?
Yeah, and we keep talking about how it's like, it's Jokic is their one offensive threat, and it's more than that. They need Jamal Murray back, not just for his scoring, but they just need a calming presence, because once things started going a little haywire, it was they were trying to make up all the points, in as quickly as possible. They were just forcing things, not getting Jokic touches. God, how many times did they go to the basket and they thought they got fouled and they got stripped, and they just couldn't settle in. God, I don't know why I feel so bad for Aaron Gordon. Like, it's just, he looks like he is the most deer in the headlights of anyone. And Draymond is kind of like emasculating him out there. He's like basically saying, shoot this wide open three. That's fine. That's cool. Yeah, I really don't. I don't really. I guess my takeaway would probably be more Warriors. I think you're right. The Nuggets are a little undermanned. They don't have a calming. They need like a point guard. Like, man, if they had like Jalen Brunson out there, that would be really beneficial. Because honestly, I kind of like what they're.
Jalen Brunson, by the way, if you didn't catch it,
oh my
41, 41 tonight for Jalen Brunson. Mavericks pulled even with the Jazz 1-1 in that first round series. Didn't see that coming. We'll talk more. We'll talk more about the rest of the league in a few minutes. But wow, that was a nice performance for sure for Brunson. Ramon Dela Cruz says Draymond Green simply having fun. Curry, Thompson, Poole, Wiggs, they can all drive and shoot. Draymond's assignment: stop and irritate the big man. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I mean, did you see when Jokic fouled out? Draymond's like giving him the golf clap down the side, the other end of the floor. But it's really true. Green looks like he's having fun. He's got it reined in. He totally understands where they're at. And he knows, I mean, in some ways, I think, there are people that will disagree, okay, because they're going to point to stats. But I would say, I think this is the best of Draymond Green. Now, other people would come out and say, no, Krug, you're wrong. He shot, 30s, whatever it was, 37% or 38% 1 year from three, and he's no longer that kind of a shooter anymore. And so he's not as good as he used to be. But to me, this Draymond Green is better. And here's why. Because he understands now he's had the good and the bad and the ugly, right? He's had the good where he's been totally dominant in big games. He's had the bad where, he's lost control. And he's had the ugly where he basically, got suspended and cost the Warriors a fourth ring. I mean, in reality, the Warriors should have 4 rings with this group. They have 3. And it's largely because Draymond, and I don't fault him for it because, hey, if somebody's walking over you, we've all played a lot of pickup basketball. If you walk over me in a pickup ball game, I'm going to do to you exactly what Draymond Green did to LeBron. Get off me. You're not going to, no, you don't step over, you don't let another man step over you like that without saying, get the F off me. And that's all he did. So I never liked that call. I hated that suspension. I thought the refs injected themselves into that series.
Well,
and without it, the Warriors have a 4th ring.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, right?
No. Remember LeBron? They didn't even call it. I'm pretty sure they didn't call it a technical on the court. I'm pretty sure that LeBron. Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure LeBron lobbied for it. Right? Yeah.
That part I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure LeBron lobbied for it. That's if I remember correctly. And then they after the game, because I remember that being a big talking point. Oh, are they going to turn it in? Are they going to review it and make it a whatever?
This is interesting. Stupid Child says, what do you gentlemen think of the officiating tonight? I thought they let him play. I thought they let a bunch of stuff go. I thought Golden State also got hosed a couple times of just possessions in the first half where it was out. There was that one that was clearly out on Jokic, and I don't know what the hell they're looking at. And they're like, Denver's ball. And Kerr throws his arms up in the air. I mean, I would say the Warriors lost 2 or 3 possessions to just bad calls, that weren't reviewed, bad calls where they didn't check, and Golden State kind of got screwed. But overall, they let them play. They really let them play. I
I would
mean,
be
it
a
was
little upset if I was a Nuggets fan, I think.
what's that?
I think I'd be a little upset if I was a Nuggets fan. Like, if I was watching it from a Nuggets fan perspective, I think that I think a lot of those, there was just so many where they're, Barton or whoever was driving in and, there was a little bit of contact, but then they didn't call anything. And then, right back to the, other end of the floor. And it's like, boom, 4-point play or whatever, fouling on a three. I think that the Warriors got a little bit of a friendly whistle. That's what I'm a little worried about, honestly, for game 3 and 4. It's one of those games, they're going to break out the whistles. And the Warriors that's probably when we see Kuminga.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Denver tops out at about 110. I mean, I think if any point the Golden State can score over 110, it's going to be really difficult for the Nuggets to get there. Dusty Gold says Draymond's thirst for the next ring is what's fueling him. Probably. Randy 415 says Green's a bully out there, intimidating the bigs. Well, it's funny. Bullying has become like this negative connotation in our society now. You say the word bullying and people, oh, he was bullied. But, Draymond Green's a good bully, right?
Yeah,
because he's an undersized guy. I mean, think about it. He's a 6'6" guy with really long arms that can single-handedly contain an MVP candidate who's 7 foot.
So here, I've got a question for you.
How many 6'6" guys or 6'5" guys can go up against a 7-footer, basically, or 6'11", whatever Jokic is, and basically he doesn't need any help. They don't have to help Draymond on Jokic. He's got him all by himself.
So that's what I have a question for you, just because of what the TNT guys said, and after the game, I just caught it for a little bit. So, I mean, how amazing! We're talking about the offense, but how amazing was the defense with the Draymond at center? With Jokic out there, like that, we stoned him. Like I honestly didn't think Draymond could, lock down Jokic like that. But the TNT guys were like, oh, okay, let's see that death lineup versus Milwaukee, and Draymond has to guard Giannis. Let's see him versus Philly and Draymond has to guard Embiid. Do you think that lineup can be out there versus those teams?
Well, it's a great question. I do think that lineup can be out there, but I also think that are you seeing dominant Warrior defense, or are you seeing good Warrior defense and a challenged group of Nuggets on the offensive end? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, look at, if you know NBA basketball and these guys individually skill set wise, then that Denver at this point is outgunned. I mean, who do they got? Who on this team is really an offensive player outside of Jokic? Jokic is an incredible passer. To me, the key stat in this game is what Jokic. You look at Jokic as far as his assists. His assists for the game were what he wound up with. We got his 5th foul with 8 minutes left, so that impacted things. But Jokic on the game, he had 26 points, 11 rebounds, but he only had 4 assists. And to me, that third column is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Jokic can go for 25 and 12, and Golden State's just fine. Perfect. It's 25, 12, and 9 that kills them. It's 25, 14, and 11 that kills them. The assist total is what you really fear with Jokic, because if he can pile up the assist total, that means he's getting his teammates involved, and that means and they're knocking down shots. But in reality, Aaron Gordon's got no game outside the lane to speak of. Will Barton's your second best scorer. They missed Jamal Murray badly. Highland is a really nice player. He played at VCU. Bones, Nashawn Highland, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie, and it's asking a lot for a rookie to say, okay, carry us in April. I know you played a 35-game college season last year, and I know you just played an 82-game regular season, but carry us. I mean, it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a tall ask to ask any rookie to step into an NBA playoff situation and impact it significantly, because just the difference in games between a college season and a pro season. I got to think most rookies, by the time we get to April, are just burnt, right? Because I mean, their season, if you went on games alone, would have ended in like February. But then there's all of March, all of April, and then playoffs will go into June for the team that goes to the finals. So, it's I just think Denver. I'm looking at Denver and I'm going, okay, who on this team are you? Where's their secondary scorer? Where's the guy that Jokic is going to find on the perimeter who's going to knock down those shots? There was times where Golden State lost track of the rotation, and they gave Denver a couple pretty good looks, and those shots just didn't fall. So
early in the game, I felt like there was quite a few like open Denver threes, and I was getting a little bit nervous. But yeah, as the game wore on, no.
This is interesting. Aaron Brooks says, "Hey Larry, what do you guys think of moving Klay Thompson to the 3 permanently to make room for Jordan Poole, or as he calls him, the pool party?" He's going to have to guard some bigger guys.
What do you do? I mean, so is Draymond just permanently center then, though, is the only problem? I feel like that's asking a lot of Draymond for full game.
Well, I mean, when this guy says permanently, he's talking about what is the Warriors' best closing lineup. And I would say their best closing lineup is Steph, Klay, Poole, Green. And then, as far as I'm concerned, that fourth guy can be any number of people. I like Gary Payton. I like the idea of playing Gary Payton, who's a great defender, with Green, who's also a great defender. That would be my closing lineup. Now, I know people would say you're going to go with Gary Payton over Wiggins. Wiggins was an all-star, and Wiggins is a good defender too. And Wiggins has got an offensive game, and you have to defend Wiggins on the offensive end of the floor, where you don't have to defend Gary Payton, except you don't want to turn your head and let him run to the rim, because he'll finish at the rim. But Gary Payton is such a dominant defender.
Good things happen when he comes in the game every time.
Oh, I love Gary Payton. I think
How about
Gary
his block on that? I think you see Jokic getting a little.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah, because he got that block, and if you remember, he had the block in the game 1, and then during the regular season, he had a really nice block on Jokic, and I think GP was just honestly being a good. He was just being like he was throwing him a slap on the butt, like, haha, I know I got you, but I still know, what I mean, it's all good. And Jokic just took so much offense to it.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, it's funny too, because there's so much back and forth between players in the NBA, and it wasn't like he hit him hard on the butt. He just kind of tapped him as he went by. But Jokic was like, "Man, that's disrespect." And I bet you Jokic's brothers, Jokic's brothers are like, "No, we're not taking that." But it was funny. Jokic turned around and Steph got in his face.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was Jokic and Steph nose to nose. And I thought, man, I'll say this for Denver too. Denver could have lost this series in that final and J Stamps 101 says Joker's second tee was due solely to Green's great defense on him. Joker was so frustrated. That's clear. And the other thing that was clear was it looked like he was almost going to, get teed up again, or like maybe maybe have some action that would lead towards a suspension. Now that if you put the Warriors up 2-0, I think the series is done. But you put the Warriors up 2-0 and have Jokic suspended for game 3, and I know the series is done.
Yeah, we might be resting starters.
Seriously. It's a tough call though, as far as, is Denver have anything left? I don't think they do. Rebel 444 says, I just can't wait to see Gary Payton go at it with Chris Paul. You know what? I want to see Gary Payton. If it's Memphis, I want to see Gary Payton on Ja.
Oh my God.
If it's Minnesota, I want to see Gary Payton on Edwards. And if they get to the conference finals, I want to see Gary Payton in huge minutes on Chris Paul. Because let's be honest, Chris Paul, I don't know how much of game one against New Orleans you watch, but he totally took the thing over at the end. And that's what he does. He squares the shoulders, he gets high percentage looks. They're almost always twos unless they're wide open threes. But he is phenomenal at carving out some space in the mid range, getting some space, squaring the shoulders, and knocking those shots down under intense pressure. That's his game. That's how he brings you home. That's his way of finishing. So I don't know about you, but I think Gary Payton in some ways is the perfect guy to go up against some of these teams that they're leaning on a certain player at a certain point in the game. And Phoenix leans on Paul to bring them home. Do they have other guys? Of course. They can go inside to Ayton. They've got Booker. Cam Johnson's one of the great 6 men in the league. He's an absolute awesome perimeter shooter. But inside of 5 minutes, everybody on that Phoenix team looks uneasy about hoisting because they know in crunch time, their whole game plan is get CP3 the ball. So they don't look. It's funny. You'll watch Phoenix and you'll be like, yeah, man, Cam Johnson's stroking it. He's looking good. He's hitting perimeter shots. They're going down easy. And you're thinking, oh, man, they're going to ride Cam Johnson tonight. Then they get to like the fourth quarter and it's like 6 minutes left. And Cam Johnson, they swing it to him on the perimeter and he's got an open look. And he looks hesitant. He did the same shot that he was knocking down in the first 3 quarters. Suddenly he looks kind of hesitant. Why? Because on that team, Chris Paul brings him home. So I want to see Payton on Chris Paul, especially in the fourth quarter, because man, you take Payton, who's younger, springier, longer. Gary Payton is listed at 6'4", I believe. He might be even an inch shorter than that, but you might as well call him 6'7" or 6'8" because he plays that big. I mean, I saw Gary Payton, earlier this year. He's guarding a guy. The guy's dribbling on with the right hand on the right side of his body. Gary's on the left side of his body. He picks him. He reaches around him. He's got such crazy length and picked him reaching across the guy's body. That's how long his arms are. And he can do it from behind. He can do it in front. So Trae Young in the Hawks game earlier this year.
Oh my God.
Just stopped shooting. Stopped shooting in the fourth quarter. Why? Because Gary Payton was harassing him and haranguing him to such a degree. He just quit. He's like, I'm not shooting anymore. NBA players who have tremendous handle. They get the ball on a string. Gary Payton's in your neighborhood, you pick up your dribble. It's like, you better pick up your dribble or he's going to pick you.
God, yeah, I know. And I love it. Whenever he's inside, even if it's Jokic, it's just, I see Gary Payton in there and I'm like, all right, there's like a 40% chance he's just about to slap the ball. He's just going to slap the ball and steal it. Yeah, the only thing I worry about with GP is, and, he's started to get a little bit of a name for himself, nationally. The beginning of the year, he was still incredible defensively, but they were calling a lot of fouls on him just because he didn't quite have, the rep as Draymond can get away with a little bit more because he's got the rep as such a good defender. Chris Paul, I think he would do a great job on Paul. Paul, in those final 5 minutes, he's just so good at, he's so good at getting fouled. You know what I mean? Doing those kind of BS Chris Paul things that just get them in the bonus. And that's how they were closing out all these games this year is he does those stupid things where, he goes right by you, then he just stops abruptly and then the guy runs into him. He does all those sort of tricks. And so, yeah, I'd love to see, I think, man, how fun would it be to watch Chris Paul being frazzled by Gary Payton? That he's watching him on defense, for the the whole Steph experience. When I'm watching their offense, I love just pinpointing Steph and just watching him the entire possession, running all around the screens, doing all that. On defense, I just can't take my eyes off GP. It's so fun to watch. I never have seen defense like this.
It's funny. It's like somebody asked me a few months ago, who does Payton remind you of? And it's hard because he is about 6'3", but he plays about 6'8".
Yeah.
So who's been kind of like that? I guess the two guys that come to mind, Michael Cooper for the Lakers on the Showtime Lakers, who was about 6'5", crazy athlete, long arms, um, could guard ones, twos, threes, and probably not fours, but ones, twos, and threes, and he could absolutely shut him down. Coop it reminds me a little bit of Peyton Jr. The other one is, and this guy doesn't get any love, but he was an awesome defender, is Ron Harper. When the Bulls had Harper at the 1, Jordan at the 2, Scotty at the 3, and the Worm at the 4, to me, that was one of the greatest defensive teams I have ever seen. They, long arms, shutting down the passing lanes, getting fingertips on everything. Just covering so much ground on the court. Harper, we all know about Jordan and Pippen, and obviously Rodman. Those guys have national reputations. But Ron Harper was 6'6", but with long arms. So he was like a 6'6" guy who played 6'8", and he played point guard. So you add a 6'8", a guy who was essentially 6'8", to 6'5" Jordan with long arms, 6'8" Scotty with long arms, and then maybe one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the game in Rodman. And you had a nightmare situation, and they would just watching the Bulls. I mean, obviously Jordan was an incredible offensive player. They would just snuff you out. They would just snuff you out with their defensive pressure in the half court and then it was off to the races. Here comes another turnover. Here comes another pick. Jordan to Pippen, jam. And all of a sudden you'd look up and be like, wow, the Bulls are absolutely freakish. But nobody talked about Harper in that mix. But Harper, the early Bulls had Kerr and they had Paxson. But the Bulls team, I think, that won 72 games, that team, I think, was Harper, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Luke Kukoc, maybe Kukoc, or it might have been Weddington. No, it might have been Kukoc. I forget who it was. It might have been Williams, Scott Williams. But they had the four guys were just so long defensively that they just bothered everybody. Randy 415 says Chris Paul normally has his annual playoff injury soon. Not rooting for that. It just happens. I hear you. But you know what? To me, it would be sweeter if Chris Paul got to the conference finals in perfect health.
Yeah.
Because that would be sweeter. Yeah, I mean, you'll take it any way you get it, because at the end of the playoff run, does anybody remember who was healthy and who wasn't healthy? Not really. All they remember is who got the ring. So I'll take it any way you can get it, especially since I'm a Warrior fan and I really believe they should have the 4 rings with this group, not the 3. So I kind of feel like the league owes them one. So I don't care how this one, how they get this ring, just that they get this ring. But it would be sweeter to have Gary Payton snuff out a healthy Chris Paul than to have Paul go, oh, quad, oh, hammy, oh, calf, I'm out. Right? I'm kind of rooting for him to be healthy, to be honest.
I agree. And man, also their side of the bracket's starting to look real cupcakey. I think they're gonna have no trouble sweeping the Pelicans. And then it looks like they're gonna get this.
So who would they get? They would get Pelicans. They get Pelicans first round. They'd
get Jazz. This Jazz nucleus who is just done. Like they just split it up, blow it up. So I'm sick of it. And that they don't have Joe Ingles but it's either that or they get the Mavs with likely a hobbled Luka. So
no, I think that's going to be Utah. Utah. But the Jazz did get game 2. And let's talk about some of the other series, by the way, since we're only going to go for a little bit longer. And if people want to jump in on the chat, we're reading some of your comments, but feel free, just throw them in the chat. In the Rebel 444 says, yeah, Kerr and Harper were far superior to BJ Armstrong and John Paxson. I mean, BJ Armstrong and Paxson were better offensive players in some ways, but I mean, Kerr was a could absolute sharpshooter, and then Harper was a lottery pick with crazy length and ability. What stood out to you this weekend? And when this is the third day in a row of NBA playoffs, it got rolling Saturday. Jazz beat the Mavericks. Donovan Mitchell went off. He had 30 of his 32 in the second half. T-Wolves beat Memphis 130-117. We already mentioned Anthony Edwards. He was awesome. He had 36 in that game. 76ers beat Toronto in game one. Tyrese Maxey had 21 of his 38 in the third quarter, hit 5 threes. He just got absolutely in fuego hot. And then, of course, the Warriors got the game one win. That was Saturday. And then Sunday, Miami beat Atlanta 115-91. Duncan Robinson just rained down shots in that game. He had 27. Boston got Brooklyn 115-114. I thought that was interesting because Kyrie went for 39. KD had 23, but a 9 of 24 shooting in that game. And then Boston gets 31 from Jason Tatum, I should say. And then Jaylen Brown had a good game. But how about Al Horford, 20 points and 15 rebounds? Suddenly Al Horford got it dialed up. So, and then Tatum made the layup at the buzzer on a pass from Marcus Smart, and that gave Boston the dramatic 1-point victory. And then the Bucks beat the Bulls in game one. Giannis had 27 and 16. A lot of people think the Bucks are going to sweep the Bulls in that one. And then Phoenix, who is going to sweep New Orleans, beat them 110-99. And Chris Paul had 19 of his 30 in the fourth quarter. As I said, Chris Paul in the fourth quarter is totally dominant. And then that was Saturday and Sunday. And then today, 76ers beat the Raptors 112-97. So Philly's up 2-0 on Toronto and beat at 31-11. And how about Tyrese Maxey again? 23, 9, and 8 for Maxey. And then the other game tonight, Mavericks get the win to even their series with Utah 1-1. 110-104 was the final. Donovan Mitchell had 34, but Jalen Brunson, 41 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Didn't see that coming, and that's a 1-1 series. So, I don't know where you weigh in on these series. I kind of like Toronto over Philly at the beginning of the series, but man, I don't now. I kind of like Denver, as I said, over Golden State. I don't now. Who do you think's been impressive to you in the first round so far?
Well, I got to just start out with this. So, we've done this whole podcast and we've been talking about threats to the Warriors and we've been touching a little around the league. Man, the Heat are probably the most disrespected 1 seed in a while, man. Like they just kind of took care of business and nobody seems to be talking about them. But yeah, I mean, so I mean, they were impressive. Milwaukee, I'm not really going to be paying much attention to that series. I think the Phillies kind of stuck. Like, I was expecting the Raptors. They were kind of the trendy pick. Like it felt a little bit like, March Madness thing. Like the Raptors, so well coached, and the Philly. I mean, Philly.
Is Nick Nurse leaving there? A lot of talk that Nick Nurse may wind up in LA with the Lakers. Did you see that rumor earlier this week?
I mean, I'm sure LeBron's can't put that out. They're getting everybody. I heard Mark Jackson. I heard a lot of Mark Jackson.
Oof, I can't see that. I can't see Mark Jackson. I mean, Mark Jackson has not gotten a coaching interview since he left the Warriors. And people keep talking about Mark Jackson.
Yeah. Draymond and Steph, I was listening to that podcast where Steph popped on Draymond's, and
they love Mark Jackson.
They love Mark Jackson. They really do.
Mark Jackson had some issues with Bogut, and wasn't he trying to force guys to go to the prayer? Anytime you're talking about religion and kind of forcing your views, and I don't know. I don't want to get too into Mark Jackson, because I think Mark Jackson, obviously, I think he did a couple really good things for Golden State. He gave them defensive toughness and structure. That's one. And then somebody had to give Clay and Steph the green light to hoist shots up. And just the green light to get up the shots. Would Jordan Poole be Jordan Poole right now if he didn't get an opportunity to play? Yeah. Probably not. And it's like, you know what? I'm not saying that Steph and Clay wouldn't have become Steph and Clay, but it was like Mark Jackson quickly identified that he had one of the best. He said it. He said, I've got the greatest shooting backcourt in the history of the NBA. And people were like, Mark, what? What are you talking about? He had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, So, but he gave those guys the green light to hoist. And I think because of that one decision, he accelerated their development. And I think that you could make an argument that they wouldn't have been as far along in their development curve without Mark Jackson. But the some of the issues that he's had. I mean, the Bogut back, and I know Bogut was not a fan, and so I don't know. I'm not really sure what I can say as far as Mark Jackson, but he knows basketball. He was a really smart point guard. Loved him at St. John's. Loved him with the Knicks. I enjoy his commentary, but I just get an idea. I just get the feeling that he's like persona non grata among the NBA GM community or ownership community. I don't think he's getting another shot at being an NBA head coach. That'd be my guess.
I tend to agree also, because if he was going to get that shot, you'd think that maybe it was more with, because he proved that he with a kind of a young up and coming team that he can, breathe some confidence into him and do that kind of stuff. But this going to the Lakers and LeBron's a whole different thing. He has not proven that he can manage, superstars and superstar egos. That's kind of a different job almost.
Yeah. 49er Minded, I was a guest on his show, 49er Minded. Hope you're doing well. Mark Jackson did some good things, but his ego was huge. I don't know him personally, so I couldn't speak to that. But all I know is you can't force NBA players to go to some, chapel service, and one or two attempts at that pretty much ends your 10 years an NBA head coach. Randy 415 says, Larry, any post-game show after either Giants game tomorrow? In fact, this would be a perfect time to kind of tell people what we got coming up the rest of the week. We are going to be doing post-game tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is a doubleheader Giants-Mets from Citi Field there in New York. So tomorrow on the Krueg Show, for all you NBA fans, we are going to talk NBA basketball tomorrow at 2:00. We're going to do a live stream with my good buddy Sam Amick. So I love Sam Amick. Known Sammy for a lot of years. Great guy. Good family man. One of Sacramento's own. Sacramento's favorite sons. So Sammy's going to join us tomorrow for a live stream at 2:00 in the afternoon. So stop by tomorrow at 2:00. We'd love to see you. We'll have a little chat going as well. Sammy will stop by. And then the Giants play a doubleheader tomorrow. Now, the Giants play, I think we looked this up. Right, was it 12-10 and
340.
340. Okay, so 12-10 and 340. So we were thinking about doing a post game after the 12-10 game, but then I'm thinking that 12-10 game is going to go right into the doubleheader. So we won't do a postseason or a post-game show after game one of the doubleheader, but we will do a full post-game show after game two. So it's a 3:40 second game of the doubleheader. So that one's going to go till about 6:45, 7:00. And Rebel 444 says tomorrow it is Webb and Cobb, or Cobweb. Do you see what I did there? Cobweb. Cobb is looking really good. I'm really excited about Alex Cobb. But yeah, Cobb and Webb, and we'll talk a little bit about the Giants, because the Giants need to be discussed. They really do need to be discussed. They had the best record in baseball last year. They won 107 games. We spent much of the summer, talking about when are they going to fade? Are they legit? Are they the real thing? We finally decided, I know me and Brooks and Tolbert decided right around the All-Star break that they were legit. They were legit. We had kind of collectively decided that in June, maybe by July 1st, three of us were all convinced they were legit. So the second half didn't really surprise us. But it's pretty obvious that Vegas doesn't believe in the Giants, because they won 107. It took 107 wins to end the Dodgers' 8-year stranglehold on the National League West. So that was incredible. And then they lose Buster Posey. They lose Chris Bryant. They lose Donnie Solano. They start this year with some injuries. And I wondered if they would hit enough. And here we are, 1 week into the year. The Giants have the best record in baseball, tied with the Dodgers coming into today's action, both 7-2. LA played today, right? So maybe LA's 8-2.
Yep, they won. They won Kershaw's
But coming into today, the Giants and the Dodgers have the best record in baseball. Without Buster, the Giants have the best record. So how are they doing it? So we'll get into that tomorrow night. But they're doing it with the best rotation, a really good bullpen, and Brandon Belt. Brandon Belt is like, he reminds me so much of Jack Clark in that the dude, as we knew Jack Clark, that was his nickname, the dude. Great nickname, isn't it? The dude. Jack Clark had his flaws, but Jack Clark, when he got hot, could carry a team for weeks at a time. And Brandon Belt is exactly the same player. And he has put the Giants on his back. And between him and Jock Peterson, they are driving the offense. And you look at the Giants, they got like 5 hitters hitting under 215. So the rotation's nails, maybe the best in the league. The bullpen's loaded, very, very deep. And Brandon Belt's carrying them offensively. Now, hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully Peterson stays healthy because they're not that deep offensively. And they need some of these other guys who are, right now struggling. Crawford, Duggar, Slater, Casale. I mean, they got a bunch of guys hitting like 215 or less. You got some guys like Yaz hitting 170. They need more offense from those guys. But if the Giants score runs this year, they are going to win 90-plus games, and I think they're going to be back in the playoffs. So tomorrow we'll do a post-game. Marty Lurie's going to join us tomorrow night. So Marty will join us on the post-game after Giants baseball tomorrow night, after game 2 of the doubleheader. First game, no post-game. Second game, Marty joins us, and Ryan will be with us as well. So that's tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, Vish Kumaran, who's one of our favorites, who talks a lot of Niners. He's a college student who goes to the University of Chicago. He'll join us at noon on Wednesday for a live stream. And then I'll be on Grant Cohn's channel for the Cohn Zone with myself and Grant at 3:00. I'm doing a Locked On 49ers deal with Brian Peacock and the boys at 4:30 on Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, we've got Giants Mets to 4:30 first pitch. And then Patrick Connor of KMBR fame, he will join me on the post game for after Giants Mets Wednesday night. So that's Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're going to have Giants Mets play in the morning. So Ryan and I will be with you after that one, I believe, briefly. Kyle Posey's going to stop by from Niners Nation at 3:00 on Thursday. And what else are we doing? Cyrus Saatsaz will be by. That's Thursday night is game 3 from Denver. So that's a 7:00 tip in Denver, and Cyrus will join us from Locked On Warriors Thursday night. And then Friday morning, or I should say Friday afternoon, Jack Hammer, who is a guy that covers the Niners. And, I've been very impressed by Jack Hammer. Some of the things that he's put out on social media are very intelligent on the Niners. And we're getting close to the draft. So we'll talk about the draft ahead with Jack Hammer. We also are going to do a mock draft with John Chapman. I believe maybe Wednesday night, maybe Thursday. We got to double check on that. But that's Friday. Jack Hammer joins us in the afternoon. And then the Giants are in D.C. against the Nationals, 4:05 first pitch. And Evan Wiebeck, who is the Giants beat writer for the San Jose Mercury News, Evan Wiebeck's going to join us Friday night after Giants Nationals on the post game with Ryan as well. And then Saturday, Giants take on the Nationals early morning game, 10:05 West Coast start. And I believe Ned Colletti's going to join us. So that'll be cool. And then Sunday, Giants play the Nationals in the morning. Warriors play at 12:30. So we won't do a post game on Giants Nationals on Sunday, but Cyrus will join us in the post game, and Ryan as well, hopefully on Sunday for a little combo post game, part Giants Nats, part Warriors Nuggets, and that may be that is the fourth game. That may be the final game between Giants or between Nuggets and Warriors. So we may be talking about a clinch on Sunday. So that kind of gets you set up for the week. Couple last people in the chat here. Let's see. One comment from J Stamps 101. He says, best starting staff ERA 2, if I'm not mistaken. Are you surprised, Rye, that the Giants rotation is as nails as it's been?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I shouldn't be, I guess, but I am. I mean, Hey, I'm so excited to watch Cobb and Webb tomorrow. Also, by the way, Larry, what are we thinking? Over under 1 AB for Elliot Ramos
Oh,
in
he
the
got
game
sent out.
tomorrow?
He got sent out.
No way.
Yeah, they sent him out. I think I don't know if he's going to still be out, but I think he's been sent down.
Oh
So
man.
I will go under. I'll go under.
Wise man.
Rebel 444 says Estrada tore up Cleveland too. Tyro, that's the other part of this thing.
I trust him.
Not only is Belt ripping, not only is Jock Peterson ripping, but Tyro Estrada has got some serious right-handed thump. And he's the everyday second baseman. And all the talk in the offseason was, oh, man, they're going to miss Solano. And, oh, they're going to, then the injury, the Achilles injury for Tommy La Stella. And a lot of people were like, oh, what about second base? And there was a lot of talk. The Giants were talking about Trevor Story. They were bidding on Trevor Story. Trevor Story got $140 million. Now, I don't know what the Giants were offering, but you think just the fact that they were talking to him, they were probably offering him quite a bit of money. I mean, he signed for 140, but could you imagine? I mean, right now, Trevor Story is a 240 hitter career outside of Denver. And they didn't go with him. They went with Estrada, and Estrada's ripping right now and looks pretty good with the glove.
Yeah. Looks super good with the glove.
Yeah. So the Giants may have made a pretty good non-move there, not going for Trevor Story. This guy says J Stamps 101, so Listella's officially a bench player if he ever comes back. Well, Listella's a hitter, and he's a good hitter. He's a good line drive hitter. He maybe gets some run at DH. I'll say this too. When you have an Achilles injury and you're playing baseball, I mean, realistically, what can the Giants bank on from Tommy Listella? I mean, when you have an Achilles injury, it seems like you're just always just one ground ball away or one sprint down the first base line away from rupturing that thing. So maybe it'd be in his best interest to just have the surgery and have it repaired. And I don't know if you can do that. Maybe does he have to? I don't know how Achilles injuries that well. I mean, is it possible? Could he have a surgery, or do you have to wait for it to rupture?
I don't know. I think this was the Kawhi situation. I think he might have had a similar situation
where he had kind of a bulky. It says bulky Achilles. Rebel 444 says no. Listella can play third too if Estrada is still cooking when he gets healthy. I like what I'm seeing out of Wilmer Flores, and eventually we're going to see Longoria back. The stupid child says Longoria coming back. Longoria's got. It seems like the last couple of injuries he's had, he's taken him an eternity to come back from. But now it's a finger injury, I believe, and he had a surgery. So yeah, he'll be back, but I'm not sure exactly when to expect Longoria back.
Yeah,
I would say he might be out for all of April and maybe some of May.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Luke Williams at third base again. I think he's hit like 400. I mean, he's only had a few ABs, but
he's got good bat speed. He seems like he knows the zone. That's another one of those Farhan pickups that has been kind of quietly underrated.
Yeah.
Luke Williams has looked really, really good. All right, that's going to do it for us. Good stuff tonight, man. We went, an hour and 48 minutes, talked a lot of Warriors, little Giants at the end, and we got a lot planned for the rest of the week. So thanks to Cyrus Saatsaz for stopping by. Kylan Mills, we were hoping she'd stop by, but she obviously couldn't make it tonight. But hopefully we'll get a chance to visit with her at some point before the end of the series. But good stuff today. A lot of comments. I mean, if you're a Warrior fan, you got to feel great. I mean, in a way, this is we're starting to head into a really fun time, Bay Area sports wise, because we got the NFL draft starting next Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the draft. Niners, who knows? If they trade Debo or trade Garoppolo, I would say if you're a 49er fan, you may want to, pay attention to the draft because I have a feeling that could be pivotal. And then the Giants are off to this incredible start and look like they're making it look like last year was not an accident. And the Warriors, who, throughout much of February and a lot of March, looked like they may be one and done. They're not going to be one and done. They're taking this Denver team out. I think that's perfectly clear. And I can't wait to see the next round. Warriors Memphis could be awesome. Warriors T-Wolves could be awesome. And then I think the best series that I'm looking forward to, if you say, what is the one series that you want to see? I want to see what I saw on Christmas. I want to see the Warriors roll into Phoenix, and I want to see the Warriors slap around Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns. But I think that's the best series that we've got in the playoffs coming is Warriors Suns Western Conference Finals.
Got an eye on Nets Celtics too.
Nets Celtics could be, Nets Celtics is already entertaining. You like Boston. I kind of think the Nets are going to get by, but
I think it's a true coin flip.
Yeah. Stupid Child says no outro music. What do you mean no outro music? We got outro music. Don't think for a second we don't have outro music. We got outro music. We got more outro music than you know what to do with, damn it. I got outro music for days. Here we go. Here's a little. You like that? A little outro music?
All right.
Artist unknown.
Yeah. And if anybody on the stream, missed anything and wants to re-listen to it, podcast available where you can find it.
We pop down the music a little bit so they can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, just podcast available anywhere you get podcasts. If you missed any of this stream and want to listen to it on the go, maybe you don't want to listen to it on YouTube. Spotify, Apple, give us 5 stars, leave a review. If you say something funny, maybe we'll read it on air.
Here's one of my favorite banners that I've recently added to our banner collection. See if I can find it here. Where's my Bye Bye Salinas? Damn it. Oh, come on. Did somebody take away Bye Bye Salinas? Oh, man. You got to be kidding me. Come on, Len. Damn it. Wait a second. That's okay. I'm making... I don't care. I'm going Bye Bye Salinas right now I'm typing it in. We got a new...
This is producing, folks.
Yeah, this is on the fly. All right, let's see. Oh, damn it. Wait a second. Okay. Do you like this one? Hey, bye-bye, Salinas.
All right.
That's for G-Rad. Bye-bye, Salinas. All right. Oh, my gosh. We got this one. Stupid Child. I miss Salty. What happened to him? Oh, my goodness. R.I.P. Salty. As far as what happened to him exactly, I don't know. But he's no longer with us. So he was a great guy. We loved him. But no more Salty. R.I.P. Salty. All right, let's wait a second. I got one more thing we're gonna sign off with. We got one more little thing I want to put up there, everybody to see. Where is it? So this is production. I'm not really finding it.
Everyone listening to the podcast is like, what's going on?
Like, just hang up already. Just like, enough. Oh, here we go. This will say goodnight to everybody. And thanks to everybody who participated and everybody who was part of this. Bye-bye Salinas and all that. But we send you out with this little nugget. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground where we at.